We all deserve to die. Even you, Mrs. Lovett. Even I. Well, good morning, everybody. And welcome back to the channel. My name is Louis Vuitton, and thank you for stopping by. I would like to open... Oh, dear. Take these out now. I would like to open the stream by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land from which I'm coming to you live from, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I'd like to pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and welcome any Indigenous people joining us today. So yeah, I would also like to remind all of you to join your union, if you haven't done so already. Find whichever union is applicable to your industry, and join it. Anyway, so hey, how you doing, man? Oh shit. Hang on. Don't need to be looking into my bathroom. Not that there's anything in there, but like, I have a... Oops, fuck, what did I press? Nothing, okay. There we go. Nice shot of the 10 kilogram bag of rice I bought the other day. Because, hey, it was $16. That's like $10 or $12 American. So, I mean, like, 10 kilograms for 16 bucks. Like, sure. Like, of course I'm going to buy that. I eat a lot of rice, you know? One of my specialty dishes is making a Texas-style chili, and that goes wonderfully on rice. Anyway, so, my name is Louis Vuitton. I am a left-wing progressive streamer who likes to make videos and streams, talking about workers' rights, minority rights in particular, trans and indigenous rights. Always like to talk about masculinity. I have a big video, much more of a video essay planned to talk about masculinity coming soon, so that is going to be fun. Excuse me. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the stream. We have a few things to talk about today. Now, you will see that in the top left-hand corner, we have our daily dono goal. It sure would mean a lot to me if you have anything lying around, a few extra bucks, if you would contribute to put it towards helping me to buy a pizza. I sure do love pizza, but I sure am poor. I am a poor uni student, and today's Monday now, my time, and my work had promised, well, not promised, but I've been told that there was going to be lots of work this coming week, and yet I still have not received any emails about gigs. That's unfortunately the problem with working in the gig economy, as I'm sure many of you are aware. So yes, let me just get the stream back up on my phone. If you're feeling so inclined, there is the link, but hey, no pressure. Sit down, enjoy the stream, and if you like what you see, then yeah, we can talk money. Alright, anyway, so one other thing. In case you haven't been able to tell, I'm not American. I know, shocking. You can barely... It's like... almost impossible to tell. Anyway, I'm actually Australian, but I like to talk about both American and Australian politics. Kind of American even more so. Because, hey, there's not really much of a YouTube... Well, there is a little bit of a YouTube scene in Australia. But in typical American fashion, the online scene revolves around America, so if you want to break into it, you can't really just focus on Australia. You have to focus on Americans. So I stream generally twice a day, in the morning for the Americans and in the evening for the Australians. So it would mean a lot if you would help a guy out, help us get a big left-wing streamer up there, because right now, we don't have any. We have a few small ones, but no one big, and you can help fix that. So, I decided in like a minute 30 before I went live that I wanted a coffee. So I've got it ready and the kettle's boiled. But I dithered about it so much because I didn't have any sugar, but then like, wait, I have brown sugar, I can use that. But anyway, I'll make that in just a second. In the meantime, would you like to see something terrifying? I know I would. How loud's that going to be? So this is from Right Wing Watch. Right Wing Pastor Greg Locke used his sermon today to allege that there are child trafficking tunnels under the Capitol and the White House and accused Joe Biden, Oprah Winfrey, and Tom Hanks of being a bunch of pedophiles. Now, I understand Joe Biden and Oprah, but Tom Hanks? Like, what's Tom Hanks ever done? Has Tom Hanks ever had any controversies? I don't remember any. And this guy, of course, I'm sure you remember, was famous for protesting against lockdowns and helping to create little hotbeds of COVID. So anyway, let's have a listen to his sermon.
God's about to bring the whole house down, ladies and gentlemen. These bunch of sex trafficking mongrels are about to be exposed. These bunch of pedophiles in Hollywood are going to be exposed for who they are. I don't care what you think.
There's one guy at the front's just, I don't know, it's not radiating with him. He's just like, I don't know about this. I just came to hear the word of God. I don't know about this child sex trafficking stuff.
Care what you think about fraudulent Sleepy Joe. He's a sex trafficking, demon-possessed mongrel. He's of the left. He ain't no better than the Pope and Oprah Winfrey and Tom Hanks and the rest of that wicked crowd. God is gonna bring the whole house down.
Alright, so let's go through it a little bit. So Joe Biden's not of the left. He's not possessed. I mean, maybe... No, actually, no, I can't even... Yeah. He's not even, like, sex possessed, because I'm sure he can't get it up. Oprah Winfrey, Tom Hanks, what the hell? And child sex trafficking? Well, I mean... Oh, Q.
I said he's gonna bring the whole house down.
We're still waiting.
He's gonna burn the whole thing to the ground. He's gonna expose all these bunch of pedophiles. I'm telling you, he's gonna expose Kamala Harris for the Jezebel demon that she is. I don't know why pastors don't talk about this stuff. Well, I do. They don't.
Yeah, I wonder why they wouldn't.
I want to seem crazy.
I mean, you said it.
I'm already crazy.
Okay.
People like, do you really think it's that much of an epidemic?
Oh dear.
Do you honestly believe, we're going to get some more crazy, do you honestly believe, Pastor Locke, that the military uncovered tunnels beneath the Capitol building and beneath the White House and in the Five-Fingered Lakes, do you really believe that they found kids? Yeah, both live ones and dead ones, and if you disagree with that, and if you try to discount that, and if you try to cover that, and if you try to keep that on the DL, you're just as complicit as Hunter Biden and the rest of them bunch of crack-smoking perverts.
Well, is there tunnels underneath the White House and the Capitol building? Of course. Are they used for child sex trafficking? No. Oh boy. Oh boy. It is going to be fun dealing with QAnon over the next 10 years. It's really going to be fun dealing with this bunch of crackpots. And by fun, as usual on this channel, I mean pain. Oh well. Oh dear. And the wonderful thing is that QAnon isn't just hanging around in America. It's in Australia right now. Excuse me. We have we have politicians who, excuse me, have referenced Q. And a bunch of the anti-lockdown protests. There were people with Q signs, so great. It's wonderful to know that that particular brand of brainworms is down here as well. Fantastic. I'm so thrilled. Also, I just realized by watching the stream that you may have noticed that my hair is looking nice and smooth. So, the thing about this though, why it's important is that, like I said, I've got some prepared content that I'm going to be making over the week. So now that I look the part, now that I'm looking smart, I can actually go ahead and do that. So yeah. But anyway. Joe Biden's of the left. Okay. The left. So yeah. Anyway, on a bit more of a sadder note, as the stream title suggests, this morning, no, last night, right before I went to bed, I was on Twitter, and I saw that people had just started to post about the passing of Mike Gravel. Oh, excuse me. And if you don't know, Mike Gravel was a US senator who was very outspoken against the political status quo. Very outspoken against the warmongering. Very outspoken against poverty, government corruption. Unironically, a actual drain the swamp kind of guy. Somebody that actually had that mindset. Now, sadly, he passed away, I guess, last night my time. Was still running for president in the 2016 and 2020 presidential run, despite being like 105. So, I mean, you want to talk about how old Joe Biden is? Well, Mike Gravel is indeed. Now, you may have heard about the Gravel Institute, which was, I guess, founded, named in his honor. A YouTube platform for disseminating leftist thought. So I thought that, given his passing today, we would take a look at one of their videos and see what they've got to say. Because I actually haven't watched not only have I not watched a Gravel Institute video on this channel, I haven't actually watched any at all. So I found one that struck my fancy, and it's about Uber. And I have a lot to say on the subject of Uber and monopolies. So, let's learn a bit. Ooh, excuse me. Oh, but before we do, give me 10 seconds so I can make that coffee. I'll be right back. Well, a little longer than 10 seconds, but I'm sorry, I woke up really needing one, alright? And I'm committing a crime as a Melburnian by having instant coffee, but hey, if you'd like to contribute to buying me a coffee machine, then the dono goal is in the top left-hand corner. Alright, let me just top it up a bit. Okay. Ow. Alright, let's do it. Alright. Good shot of my vacuum cleaner there. In Mike Gravel's honor, let's hear from So, the Gravel Institute. How Uber is scamming you. Let's find out.
Among the pantheon of corporations that have emerged out of Silicon Valley, Uber occupies a special place. The company is worth $100 billion. Hundreds of billions of dollars worth of trips and delivery orders have been booked using its app. It gets tens of billions of dollars
How much money of that goes back to the drivers, I wonder?
in revenue each year. Uber is everywhere, and the narrative of Uber is also everywhere. It says that Uber is innovative, that it can disrupt the taxi industry and make money doing it, and that it can offer flexibility and opportunity to its army of drivers. Everybody wins. There's one problem. None of that is true. Let's start with one basic fact. For a company so prominent, there's something very strange. Uber has never, not once, turned a single profit. You might be confused. How can it be that such a large company with such a popular service has simply never made money? When you find out the answer, you discover something important. You discover that Uber is fundamentally a scam, a company that exists to scam its investors, its users, and most importantly, to scam its workers. Despite everything you might hear, Uber is not a technology company. While the company may brag about its sophisticated algorithm, in reality, Uber is just another taxi company. There's nothing fundamentally more...
I mean, I can remember back in like 2015, 16, when Uber first started to pop around and people talked about how innovative Uber was. Like, oh, it's so much better than taxi companies. And like I was working for a taxi company at the time, not as a driver in their call center, and I would tell people that these same people who drive Uber either used to be taxi drivers or are taxi drivers as well. It's the same service. It's the same people. Like, was there some differences? Like, yes, like you could obviously, you had an app to set things up, and the money goes automatically out of the app. You don't pay in the taxi, but the driver, it's the same people.
Efficient about Uber than there was with your local taxi service. The business is the same. There's no real way to innovate someone driving someone or something from point A to point B. Using an app to match riders with drivers is so simple that local taxi companies do the same thing. In fact, Uber is less efficient than taxi companies. Most normal taxi companies don't spend huge amounts on marketing, or lobbying, or corporate headquarters. They don't pay their CEO $45 million a year. Uber has higher costs than traditional taxi operators in every category except fuel. So why is Uber everywhere while taxi companies go out of business? It all goes back to Uber's master plan. First, with massive amounts of money from venture capitalists, Uber subsidized significantly cheaper rides than what taxi companies could offer to attract customers away from them. Then, after years of undercutting...
Yeah, do you remember that? Do you remember when Uber actually was cheaper? And then after a few years, suddenly, Uber's like the same ride, or even sometimes more expensive than a taxi company. Because remember, like, all those stories about, like, someone traveled, like, New Year's, like, from one side of the town to the other, and ended up paying, like, $700. Uber was initially cheaper. And he's right, that's how they attracted customers. But that was only temporary, just to sucker everybody in. It's bull.
Competitors and driving them to bankruptcy, resulting in a wave of suicides by cab drivers. Uber established near monopolies in local markets. Now, Uber is often the default way to get around if you don't have a car.
That's the thing. Like, just to fake that your business is so good, to pull all the competition to pull all the customers towards you, let the competition collapse, and then you can just go back to put the prices back up to normal when there's no one to compete with. What are they going to do? Start a new taxi company?
And once Uber has eradicated...
But remember that capitalism breeds innovation, guys.
its competition, it can make itself profitable at expense of users and drivers, raising its fares to what taxis offered or higher, while pushing down drivers' wages. The plan is not efficiency, it's monopoly.
What are you going to do, work for somebody else?
And that's not just me theorizing. A 73-page article in the Transportation Law Journal took a deep look at Uber's business and
Okay, there's a journal for everything.
Concluded one thing. Uber has no ability, now or in the foreseeable future, to earn sustainable profits in a competitive marketplace. Uber's investors
Keywords: competitive marketplace.
And not earn returns on the money they invested without achieving levels of market dominance that would allow them to exploit anti-competitive market power. So that is Uber's grand plan. It is not increasing the productivity or efficiency of the industry that it's in. It's subsidizing its rides with venture capital cash until it can build a monopoly and do whatever it wants. So users who buy Uber's narrative may be getting scammed, but no one is getting it worse than Uber's workers. So, Uber relies on classifying drivers as independent contractors. In the United States, that means an individual provides services to a company, but is independent of the company and its control. Uber says that because drivers...
Same deal in Australia. They're considered self-employed.
...can choose what work to accept and for how long, they're fully independent. Now, most of Uber's workers drive part-time, but they actually do relatively little driving, and 90% of them quit each year. The majority of Uber's labor is done by a smaller group of workers who drive full-time for the company. So who are these drivers? In cities like New York, the vast majority are immigrants from places like India, Bangladesh, and Haiti. They desperately need cash to support their families and send remittances back home. These are people at the very margins of our society. And how does Uber treat them? Uber treats them like a pool of cheap labor.
The vested interests in car culture in general can go ahead and step on Lego. I mean, in so many ways, cars are a scam. I've got the way our cities are set up to be constructed around roads, leading to a dependence on cars is a scam. The domestic production of vehicles going overseas being a scam, the scam that production's going to come back and provide jobs to the working class. I mean, cars in general, just abolish cars.
Easy to exploit and then discard. Uber's always been clear about one thing. It does not care about its drivers. At Uber's green light centers, where drivers register with the company, they were not even allowed to enter bathrooms reserved for employees. In fact, when Uber was talking about how it would become profitable, it stated clearly that it wanted to get rid of its drivers and transition entirely to self-driving cars. But Uber's technology was so bad that after burning billions of dollars, it had to give up. So for now, Uber is stuck
For now.
with its drivers. And in order to appear like it's coming closer to profitability, it's been cutting their wages since 2015. Whenever Uber increases its cut from each trip or reduces the minimum rate for drivers, its margins improve by that much immediately. As a result, Uber drivers regularly earn less than the minimum wage. After taking hidden costs like fuel into account, the average Uber driver earns a little over $9 an hour, about 50% less than what taxi drivers made before Uber. In fact, half of Uber drivers live at or below the poverty level. 20% of them have to use food stamps to survive. Unable to afford a home, some drivers even sleep in their cars. Drivers with nothing to their name get trapped in predatory car rental schemes promoted by Uber. They garnish your wages until you've paid it off with interest. One study from Georgetown found that a third of drivers reported falling into a debt trap. Some ended up earning less than $5 an hour. And because its drivers are technically independent contractors, Uber can avoid pesky requirements like minimum wages, health insurance, or paid sick leave. Drivers can't unionize to bargain for better conditions. Uber has all the power.
I was literally about to mention unions. So yeah, that's another effect of having independent contractors is that no union.
Make sure it can stay that way. When California tried to classify drivers as employees, Uber spent hundreds of millions of dollars on a campaign to overturn it with a ballot proposition written by Uber's lawyers. And even though Uber talks about flexibility, that's not what drivers actually experience. Drivers may not have physical bosses to order them around, but they're ruled by something even worse, an algorithmic overseer that's more intrusive than any flesh and blood boss could ever be. Uber's only actual innovations are in surveilling and disciplining its workforce.
True.
They're always watching, monitoring driving behavior, calculating fraud profiles, using invisible secret functions to discipline drivers as well as customers. Fall below an arbitrary threshold for ratings? Fired. Reject too many trips because you don't want to lose any money? Fired. Did a customer make a false report? Fired. So that's the freedom that Uber offers. It frees drivers to make below minimum wage, to sleep in their cars, to beg for 5-star ratings, and work themselves to the bone. But at the end of the day, Uber, like other gig companies, is an innovator. Not in technology, but in exploitation. It's leading the war against
I like that one.
labor in ways other companies never thought possible. It oversees a pool of atomized, ultra-exploited laborers, writes its own regulations, and has done it all without earning a single cent of profit. Imagine what sort of world they'll need to start making one. I'm Edward Ongweso Jr., staff writer at Vice for the Gravel Institute.
He was pretty cool. I liked him. So yeah, remember how we all played Monopoly as a child? And it taught us about how monopolies are bad? And about how when you have one person that controls all of the market, all of the business, it leads to this massive dominating force that if someone falls prey or falls on your square, that's it. They're done. There's no competition. So yeah, thanks Uber. I want to sell my car and get an electric skateboard so bad. Well, like, I'll do you one better. What if we constructed our cities not based around roads, but based more around community and community living, or communal living, where everything you need is within walking distance? Or what if we just had a better transport system? This is like a really crazy far-flung future idea, because it would involve redesigning the way, like a huge part of how we live, how we build our cities. But if we were to abolish cars, then I don't know, we need some kind of community transport. I mean, we could just make public transport better. But then, I mean, I'm not an engineer. I don't think, I don't have a mathematical mind. I have a creative one. In my head, I vision like trains traveling on roads instead. But I'm thinking too similar to how we live now. Perhaps if we had some kind of way of building communities where communities, everything is within walking distance, and what isn't within walking distance, you can catch a train over to the next community. I don't know. Something like that seems more entertaining. Ban cars, improve bus networks, and state mandate electric skateboard for all. I mean, wouldn't it be cool if, you anywhere that is too far to work, you did just have an electric skateboard? But I think in the meantime, I don't know, as climate change worsens, it'll be interesting to see if we take any overtures towards banning cars. Because, let me give you a little exercise to do next time you're out. If you're just on a bus or you're waiting by the side of the road, watch the cars going past and just try and count how many people are in each car. I guarantee that it'll look something like this. Obviously, if you're on a busy road. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 4, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. What an inefficient system. We have more cars that are required for people. Your average car can hold a minimum of 5 people. Now, this would be an unpopular idea, but what if we instituted some kind of mass communal ride-sharing network where just say 4 people who live roughly in the same area and who work roughly in the same area get picked up by one person in the morning, and then the 5 of them, the driver and the 4 passengers, drive to work. And then the driver drops the 4 of them off. Obviously super unpopular, but I mean, hey, it wouldn't be so much of a problem if we had electric cars. But yeah. Also, it's interesting what he had to say about Uber automating their driver's fleet. Now, obviously he said that it's not working for now, but Uber absolutely would love to remove, however small a drain the drivers represent on its income. Because, yeah, we're getting closer to self-driving cars every day. So as soon as that technology is perfected, we can expect to see self-driving cars fill Uber's fleet. Yeah, this is just another argument for a UBI, and even further, because that's not sufficient, promoting automation, but shifting more to a post-scarcity system, because, like, I should have pulled it. I'll cover it on stream another day. An article that I read once. Anyway, it's kind of pointless to have a currency in a post-scarcity system. I mean, you just, like, we still, like, abundance has been achieved where, excuse me, we can, the level of automation has just produced an abundance for everyone, but we still maintain a currency. So what, like, we still work, but what's the point of working if there's, you know, if it's post-scarcity? What's the point of a UBI in post-scarcity? Scary thought. I'm an electrician, can't need a car to carry gear, but office workers don't. Well, true. But hey, why not an electric car? So yeah. Also, there's another thing about Uber. So, like, not only has Uber ruined the taxi industry, what has Uber done to your local restaurants? This might be something specific to Australia. I don't think that. I don't know if it's applicable to the rest of the world. However, this is something that's happened in Australia. Currency is universal exchange, meaning which on its own is fine. The problem is when it's commodified. In a post-scarcity system, why do we need any kind of currency? Why do we need to trade anything? Anyway, Uber and your local restaurants. So, obviously Uber has this monopoly on ride-sharing and delivery. So, in the last 7 or so years, we've seen food delivery apps crop up. Uber, Uber Eats, Menulog, Deliveroo. Like, America has, like, DoorDash. I don't think that we have that in Australia. Obviously, America doesn't have Deliveroo. So, the most successful of these is undoubtedly Uber Eats. However, here's the thing about Uber Eats, delivery, and restaurant. Obviously, restaurants need, like, there's almost no restaurant that doesn't utilize a food delivery app, because, I mean, it's a huge share of your customers that you would lose if you don't offer delivery. The convenience of it has overtaken how we consume food, especially in the pandemic. So, if a restaurant has to utilize an app like Uber Eats' delivery service, then they're going to have to pay the price that Uber Eats charges to have their name added to the delivery service. So, here's the thing about that. I don't know if you've noticed, but certainly in Australia, in Melbourne, the prices of your local takeaway shop have increased exponentially. And the thing about that is it's because they're having to pay the Uber fees. They have to pay the Uber fees, so they have to raise their prices to cover the cost. So now, a menu item, what used to cost $10, $12, now costs $20. Crazy increased cost. Because if they don't, then it's not on the app, it's not available for delivery, people shop somewhere else. Now, here's the thing. You know whose prices haven't changed, or who maybe have marginally increased by cents, a few cents, as opposed to $10? McDonald's. Chains, franchises, big food restaurant chains. Their prices, if they have increased at all, have been very marginal. So, your local owned shops, where they're owned locally, people shop locally and are staffed locally, they've had to raise their prices, which means that people shop at them less frequently. However, places like McDonald's, their prices have stayed roughly the same. So, it drives more people towards chains like McDonald's, McDonald's continues to make money, even sometimes offering free delivery from Uber, while your local business, who's owned just by somebody in your community, well, they see less business, they see less money, while McDonald's continues to get richer. And that money, of course, goes to head office. It leaves your community. And, goes off to be invested in a bank account where the government can't touch it. This is another fallout from Uber. Uber's helping to kill small business, small restaurants. Because if they don't pay the delivery fee, then they'll see less customers, but they see less customers anyway because of the price. Even though we operate under artificial scarcity, assuming post-scarcity for your ideology is cheating because all ideologies work post-scarcity. Well, the amount of food that we waste, both in the production phase and post-production, is ridiculous. I think that we have the technology now to achieve very close to a post-scarcity system. We need to capitalize much more on automation. See, like lefties and unionists have historically opposed automation because of the threat that it poses to people's jobs, which is understandable. But rather than automating some of it and losing some jobs like the Uber drivers' jobs, let's automate every job. I mean, what's the ideal unemployment rate? Not 0%. Ideal unemployment rate is 100%. Let everyone lose their job to automation. Because if nobody has a job, what's the point of working? What's the point of a currency? That sounds ideal to me. The problem is this kind of halfway point, this middle phase where we haven't quite got all the way. We either aren't going to commit to automation, or we're still trying to fight it. Because in the meantime, people like Uber drivers miss out when the fleet becomes automated. It's the criticism I have of a UBI is that it's good in the meantime, however long term, it's not going to solve the problem. We can't all have our jobs be automated away and just live off a UBI. I mean, we can, but at that point, what's the point of currency? Eating anything other than noodles in a cup is bougie. Hey, I am a working class guy. I grew up poor. But when I make 2-minute noodles, you better believe that is some gourmet shit. Alright? Not just eating noodles out of a cup, alright? 2-minute noodles, the trick is 6 minutes. To be honest, we need to farm dirt. Farm dirt? What? What do you mean? As in, like, cultivate healthy dirt? Sure, we waste a lot of food, but it's not quality food being produced. I don't know. Like in Australia, we sell the majority of our quality food. We keep the less quality food and sell it back to Australians, while we export the majority of the higher end produce. Which, I mean, like when it's a giant company who's controlling the farms, of course they're going to prioritize the quality produce to sell because they can make more money off that. What do they care about Australians? What do they care about putting money back into the Australian economy? UBI's potential to maintain capitalist class relations through increasing automation. That's the problem, because the UBI is a good step towards a post-commodity form, post-currency. It helps out in the meantime, but it's not a solution long-term. We need to compost as much as possible. Dirt is the future. Okay. I don't know anything about farming, but I mean, I agree. We're going to be seeing, like, that's another problem that people don't realize about climate change, is that the potential farmland is going to be, we're going to see a decrease in that over the next 50 years, century, but very quickly. I'm Aussie Sydney sider, by the way. Oh, okay, well, thanks for joining us, but I'll let it slide that you're from Sydney. So yeah, rest in power, Mike Gravel. Yeah, we will continue to carry on your message. A shame you didn't make it to the Democratic debates for this US election, because it would have been good to see you shake your fist at the establishment corporate Dems one last time. What else have we... Oh, and on the subject of workers' rights and whatnot, have a look at this. This is a post from Samantha Medusan, known as Princess Jellyfish, excuse me, on YouTube. She's a YouTuber that I've collaborated with before, and she's got some good videos, so be sure to check her out. So in case you haven't heard, the Pacific Northwest in California is experiencing a little bit of a heat wave, with temperatures in some areas getting above 50 degrees Celsius. And apparently, in America, air conditioning isn't standard. Like, in Australia, just about any house that's under 30 years old will have air conditioning. But in America, apparently that's just not a thing. Okay. So in the meantime, we have a whole lot of Americans, millions in fact, who are sweltering in the heat as this crazy heat wave rolls through the area. And throughout that, Amazon delivery drivers, Samantha works as one, are expected to go out and continue to work in those conditions. Very cool. So, strike for Amazon drivers in fucking Americans, Tualatin, Oregon, because Amazon wants drivers to drive in 115 degrees up Fahrenheit conditions with no air conditioning in the back of the trucks. Hashtag workers' rights, hashtag Amazon Prime Day, hashtag Amazon Prime. Wow, 150, I know that's hot. I don't know how hot, but I know that 115 degrees is hot. It's 43 degrees right now in Tualatin. It's 4:16 p.m. in the afternoon, and it is 43 degrees. That's horrible. I've seen some maps which show, like I said, in some areas it's getting as high as 50, but 43 is already insane. People are going to die. This is going to kill people. This is going to kill the elderly, people who have pre-existing medical conditions. I don't have aircon, it's cold here. Well, I mean, it's cold now, but, you know. But anyway, how lovely is this? Amazon workers actually striking. All the various complaints of drivers. How's that? Leave your ideas, comments, or feedback here, smiley face. Fuck you, Amazon. Wow, so... Oh wow, people actually put their logins. Whoa, okay, that's brave of them, because as we know, any kind of overtures towards unionizing, any kind of overtures towards advocating for workers' rights. Why are we working in this heat? No login, fair enough. Day only gets hotter the later it gets. Oh man. Leasing offices do not take packages being rerouted to the leasing office after? I don't know. That's crazy. And the worst part of all is that it's cheaper for Amazon to reimburse people for their packages and whatnot, to take the hit on the drivers. Amazon is the definition of, I think it's meant to be profit over humanity. They are risking people dying over this heat. extremely disappointed that Amazon would not halt work on a day this hot. Well, grow up, mate. I think that change.org petition preventing Bezos' re-entry to Earth is going to get a lot more signatures. Remind me to sign that. I mean, we have to be careful though, because we might, if we don't let him back into Earth, his the tip of his penis rocket might open up and reveal a laser cannon. So then he's going to be the one holding all the cards at that point. We'll have a standoff. We'll be saying you can't enter and come back to Earth, but then he's pointing a gun at the head of the universe. It sucks that we need support for drivers. Amazon isn't there for us. But wait a minute. In all of their propaganda, Amazon says how much they like to work collaboratively with their employees. I don't appreciate being told Amazon cares about me when they have me work in hazard conditions. What? No! Amazon cares deeply about their employees' safety. All this, I'm disappointed. Look at that. Another opportunity to talk about unions. This idea about being disappointed. You shouldn't be disappointed with your company. You should be angry with your company. You don't want to ask for better conditions. You want to demand better conditions, better pay, your safety guaranteed. People worked in these kind of conditions for centuries. For businesses, they didn't care whether or not they lived or died. For businesses that let people be maimed, that let people have their lives ruined, that let people have their physical health be destroyed. The reason we have standards of safety in business today is because people who worked in conditions like this got tired of it and banded together to fight back. The reason we have federal laws on workers' rights and workers' safety is because enough people got fed up with having their hands crushed in machines or their hearing or their ears deafened and decided that, hey, we're the ones who make these people money. It's about time that they looked after us. If we're going to work for this business, if we're going to be making them the money, then in exchange, they can at least keep us safe. So, what's the solution? Well, as Samantha has pointed out in her post, the Amazon workers are striking, thank God. I need to actually look into this strike and find out just how widespread it is. Hopefully, quite widespread. I mean, of course, Amazon is famous for its anti-union tactics, which I'm planning to make a video on this week. I've been promising that for ages, and I'm actually going to deliver on it now. Amazon gets away with treating its workers like this because we don't have unions. If Amazon workers were unionized and they tried to make their employees work in conditions like this, imagine what a general strike could do in Amazon fulfillment centers across the country. Business is shut down, no parcels going out, no money's coming in, the business grinds to a halt. They would never get away with this. However, Amazon does everything it can to prevent unions forming. There needs to be a much stronger push towards unionizing. This topic, I feel like it sounds so alien to people my age, this idea of people working collectively and working collaboratively to achieve change in their business. We take so much of it for granted. We take the pay for granted, we take the conditions for granted because we don't know any alternative. Even, like, my parents' generation maybe remembers their parents talking about union tactics or participating in workers' strikes. But even my parents' generation, it's becoming more of a myth now. there's a better world that we can fight for. And people gave their lives for this. Like hundreds of years ago, let's see, like 100 years ago, men and women fought and died on the line, fighting against scabs, fighting cops, so that things like this, people working in inhuman conditions, would be stopped. There is a better world that we can fight for. All we need is for us to work together. Because I guarantee you that if we take collective action and demand that the laws be changed about unions, it'll get done. As an Aussie electrician, it's surprising how many worker protection laws have been eroded here. Thanks, John Howard. Yes, you can thank John Howard, but you can also thank Bob Hawke for that. This is something that I really don't get. The Labour Party worships Bob Hawke, and any like young political-minded Labour supporter absolutely worships his name. But what a lot of people forget is that it wasn't the Liberal Party that broke the unions in Australia. It was the Labour Party. It was Bob Hawke and the ACTU. Now, sure, obviously, the Liberals had their hand in it as well, but it was Bob Hawke that really flicked the switch on that. Australia has some of, if not the worst labour laws in the developed world. I think they're even worse than America, which is saying something. I was in the ETU, Electric Trade Union, but they're a bit too exclusionary. This is the problem with Australian unions. This like the Australian unions are too intent on fighting each other. There really needs to be a new labour movement, a new national union with local chapters. Get the politics out of Australian unions, because there's some that are moderate, there's some that are way more far left, there's some that are just like straight out communist. Get the politics out of unions, because that drives people away. Not only does it drive people away, but it puts divisions between unions. This is like how politicians helped break unions. When there's unions are fighting each other, when they're too intent on politics, then they can't be fighting for what matters. New national labour movement, local chapters, apolitical, post-political. And they use the Eureka Stockade flag as a logo. Ew. Join the IWW. See, even the IWW is too political. Like, sure, absolutely. Join the IWW, join the DSA, join the IRA. No, not the IRA. What's the Socialist Rifle Association or whatever in America? Something like that. Not the Irish Republic Army. Don't join that. But the only good English soldier is a... You know the rest. Yes, new national labour movement, both in America and in Australia. Keep the politics out of it. Focus on what matters. Keep it apolitical. Because the only way it's going to have any success is if it's apolitical. So yeah. All the best to the Amazon workers, the ones that are striking, and all the best to the people in America over in the Pacific Northwest who are sweltering in this heat without air conditioning. Hopefully, well, not hopefully, but this is demonstrative of climate change and its effects. We're only going to be seeing this a whole lot more frequently. I mean, just recently we had the polar tempest in Texas, so yeah, we're going to be seeing... And how many people died in that? You know, how many people are going to die in this heat wave? Fortunately, we're going to be seeing it a whole lot more. It's 43 degrees right now in Tualatin, in Oregon. Oh dear. So yeah, solidarity with the Amazon employees and everybody working throughout this heat. So yeah, guys. That's about all I had for us today. Rest in power, Mike Gravel. You will be missed. Your lectures of the DNC will be missed. But hey, we'll carry it on in your name. So yeah, I'd just like to remind everybody of our daily dono goal to buy me a pizza. If you have any extra bucks lying around, it would mean a lot. I also do prepared content over on my YouTube channel. You can jump over there and subscribe to me. I have a few videos planned that I want to try and push out this week. 3 planned. 1 should be fairly easy to get out. 2 will be a bit more work. But yeah, I also do prepared content over there. Follow me on Twitch, subscribe to me on YouTube, jump over to Twitter and follow me there as well. Join the Discord through the link down below. And if you have any extra bucks lying around, then hey, it would mean a lot. Ha! Anarcho Taco, hey, I'm happy to help out with committing time theft any day of the week. I mean, we're going to do what we can. But in the meantime, though, thank you all for coming. I love you all. I'm Louis Vuitton. And please, join your union. Have a good one. And stay safe to everybody in the Northwest.